Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for joining me today because we have some very exciting General Hospital news to talk about, and it's definitely worth the wait. There are times in Port Charles when trouble does not arrive with a loud warning. It comes quietly, step by step, through fear, pride, and the kind of desperate thinking that makes good people choose dangerous paths. The week of April 13 looks like one of those painful turning points. Ethan's return brings the weight of the past back home at the exact moment several lives are already hanging in the balance. At the same time, Tracy appears to be nearing a personal crisis, and Willow is slipping into a dark emotional place that may be harder to escape than anything she has faced before. Everything feels unsteady, as if one more shock could send several people crashing at once. First, Port Charles is heading into one of those painful weeks when everything feels fragile at once. Ethan's return brings old memories and unfinished emotions back to the surface, but his homecoming does not arrive during a peaceful time. Instead, it comes while Tracy is falling into a serious crisis, and Willow is slipping deeper into emotional collapse. The whole week feels heavy, as if one wrong step could push several lives into even greater chaos. Willow's story is the most heartbreaking because she has reached a frightening new low. After learning that her future may be in real danger, she turns to Nina, and together they begin thinking in ways that feel driven more by fear than wisdom. Their plan seems to involve using someone close to Jack Brennan, most likely Carly, as part of their escape from trouble. That choice gives Willow's struggle a darker edge, showing just how desperate and emotionally overwhelmed she has become. By the end of the week, Willow is expected to confront Jacinda Bracken, and that moment could become the clearest sign yet that she is no longer holding herself together. This is not just about anger. It is about panic, pressure, and a woman who feels cornered from every side. At the same time, Jacinda is also said to be sinking even lower, which suggests that this conflict may pull both women into a painful and messy collision with lasting consequences. Tracy's crisis adds another layer of tension because she is not someone who falls apart easily. When a woman as strong and proud as Tracy starts to crack, everyone around her can feel it. Ethan's return only deepens the emotional atmosphere, since coming home in Port Charles always means facing the past as much as the present. Altogether, this looks like a week built on heartbreak, pressure, and dangerous choices, with Willow standing at the center of the storm. Second, Britt's week carries a tense and uneasy energy because her uncomfortable encounter with someone could reopen old wounds or drag her into a situation she never wanted to face. With Britt, even a brief meeting can carry emotional weight, especially when the past is involved. That kind of awkward moment can quickly become something more serious in Port Charles, where one uneasy look or one sudden reaction often points to a much deeper problem waiting underneath the surface. Brooke Lynn's story feels dangerous in a quieter way. She appears to be hiding something, and that secrecy alone creates pressure around her future. In a place where secrets rarely stay buried for long, even a carefully protected truth can become a threat. If what she is hiding comes to light, it may not only damage her reputation, but also shake the stability she has been trying so hard to protect. Jordan's condition remains one of the most emotional parts of the week. After the car crash, she is forced into emergency surgery, and the fact that she wakes up afterward brings relief, but not real peace. Recovery will still be painful, uncertain, and filled with fear about what comes next. Curtis' support becomes especially meaningful here, because in moments like this, love is no longer about grand promises, but about quiet strength, patience, and staying close when someone is at their weakest. At the same time, Laura cannot ignore the deeper question hanging over the crash. She is no longer thinking about it as a simple accident, and that shift changes everything. If Jordan's condition worsens, the situation could become far more serious and even turn into the beginning of a murder case. Laura's effort to build a new alliance suggests she understands that this crisis may be bigger than one injured woman. It may be the start of a wider battle, one involving suspicion, strategy, and the search for the truth before more lives are damaged. Third, Sidwell continues to feel like one of the most dangerous forces in Port Charles because he does not need to raise his voice to make people uneasy. His power comes from the sense that he is always thinking several steps ahead, and that makes every move around him feel risky. Ava's ability to keep impressing a man like Sidwell says a great deal about how sharp, controlled, and unpredictable she can be when she chooses to play a dangerous game. For Ava, this situation is not just about charm or confidence. It is about survival, influence, and knowing how to hold her ground in front of someone who could easily become a threat. The more she draws Sidwell's attention, the more complicated her position becomes. What looks impressive on the surface may actually place her closer to the center of danger, where one wrong move could cost her dearly. At the same time, Justine Turner brings a darker warning to Sonny. She makes it clear that Sidwell is not a man to underestimate, and that message matters because Sonny has spent his life dealing with powerful enemies. When someone like Justine feels the need to warn him, it suggests that Sidwell may be operating at a level even Sonny has not fully measured yet. That creates a sense of growing danger around everything connected to him. This part of the story works so well because it builds tension in a quiet but powerful way. Ava seems to be stepping deeper into Sidwell's orbit, while Sonny is being told that the threat in front of him is bigger than he realizes. That combination creates a troubling picture of what may come next. In Port Charles, the most frightening villains are often the ones who stay calm, while everyone else is still trying to understand how much trouble they are truly in. Finally, Port Charles is heading into another emotionally charged week, and what makes it so compelling is the way every storyline seems to carry both hope and danger at the same time. Emma continues to find herself drawn to Gio, and there is something sweet but also fragile about that growing feeling. In a town like Port Charles, affection rarely stays simple for long. Young emotions can quickly become entangled with family pressure, secrets, and unexpected complications. Emma's feelings for Gio may seem gentle on the surface, but they could easily become the beginning of a deeper emotional struggle, especially if outside forces begin to shape what should have been a simple matter of the heart. At the same time, Tracey's crisis gives the week a much heavier feeling. Tracey is not a woman who crumbles easily, which is why her distress carries such strong dramatic weight. When someone as proud, sharp, and emotionally guarded as Tracey begins to lose her balance, it suggests that the pressure around her has become impossible to ignore. Her crisis is likely to affect more than just her own peace of mind. It may send tension through the Quartermain family and force others to confront problems they would rather leave untouched. In Port Charles, one powerful woman's moment of weakness often reveals hidden cracks in everyone around her. Christina's surprise adds another layer of uncertainty to the week. With Christina, surprises are rarely small or harmless. They tend to strike at the heart, forcing her to react before she has time to protect herself emotionally. Whatever catches her off guard may leave her shaken and may also push her into a difficult decision. That is what gives her storyline its emotional pull. Christina often lives with deep feeling close to the surface, so when something unexpected hits her, the consequences are rarely limited to one moment. They can ripple outward, affecting trust, family bonds, and the choices she makes next. Elsewhere, Lucas begins questioning Isaiah about what he has been doing that required life-saving intervention, and that detail alone creates immediate tension. A question like that does not come from idle curiosity. It comes from fear, suspicion, and the sense that something serious has happened behind the scenes. Lucas' concern suggests that Isaiah may be carrying a burden larger than others realize. This part of the story feels especially gripping because it hints at danger that has already happened but has not yet been fully explained. In Port Charles, those hidden moments are often the most explosive once they finally come to light. Then there is Ethan's long-awaited return, which brings an entirely different emotional current to the week. A return home is never just about walking back into familiar places. It is about facing unfinished emotions, reconnecting with people who matter, and confronting the life that kept moving while he was away. Ethan's reappearance promises warmth, memory, and likely a few unresolved feelings as well. Reunions in General Hospital often carry both joy and sadness because they remind people of what was lost as much as what has been found. Ethan's story could easily touch more lives than expected, especially if his return stirs old loyalties, old pain, or long-buried truths. What makes this week so appealing is the variety of emotions it offers. There is romance beginning to bloom, family strain growing more intense, personal shock waiting to erupt, and the return of someone whose presence may change the atmosphere around him the moment he arrives. Each thread feels connected by one larger truth. No one in Port Charles is standing on completely steady ground. That is why the week of April 13 feels so rich with possibility. It is not only about what happens next, but about how each character will carry the emotional cost of what is coming. What also gives Ethan's return such emotional power is the question of timing. He is not coming back to a calm and settled Port Charles. He is walking into a town already full of strain, where people are hiding fears, carrying secrets, and trying to hold themselves together. That means his arrival may not simply bring comfort. It may also stir old wounds or force difficult feelings back into the open. Sometimes a familiar face can remind people of who they once were, what they regret, and what they still have not healed from. Ethan's presence may do exactly that, turning his homecoming into something far more meaningful than a simple reunion. Emma and Gio's growing connection may also become more important than it first appears. Feelings like these often begin softly, almost innocently, but in Port Charles they rarely remain untouched. The people around them, the family expectations surrounding them, and the emotional chaos already filling the town could all place pressure on something that might otherwise have had room to grow naturally. That is why their storyline carries quiet charm, but also real vulnerability. There is sweetness in Emma continuing to care for Gio, yet there is also the sense that this young attachment may soon be tested by realities much heavier than romance. Lucas and Isaiah's tension could develop into one of the week's most quietly gripping threads. When someone begins asking hard questions about a medical emergency or a life-saving intervention, it usually means the truth underneath is too serious to ignore. Lucas may be trying to understand what happened, but deeper than that, he may be trying to measure how much danger Isaiah is truly in and how much has already been kept hidden. That uncertainty adds a darker shade to the story, because in General Hospital, the most troubling revelations often begin with one person realizing that the official version of events does not explain enough. As this week unfolds, that uneasy feeling may grow stronger, leaving several people to face truths they are not ready to hear.